Welcome to Smoke and Ice with Kelly and Wayne. This is the podcast where you're not only informed, but entertained. Sit back, relax, and remember, where there's smoke, there's fire. And you can't chill without ice. Now, here are your hosts, Kelly Allen and Wayne McCullers.
Welcome back. You have now entered another session of Smoke and Ice podcast, the only podcast where smoke meets sophistication and ice meets intensity. I'm your host, Kelly Allen.
And I'm Wayne McCullers, and this episode, we have another treat for you. Today, we're going to talk to a brother who basically needs no introduction, but if you're a lover of smooth jazz, this brother is it. He has definition in his style, he has tone, he has a presence about him on the sax. He made me fall in love with jazz music again, let me say that.
And I know you've heard his horn on the radio, you may have seen him live on a festival stage, but this is someone right here who is truly true to the game. Music, culture, bourbon, cigars. He's about this life. Please help me welcome the incomparable, the smooth, the soulful, Mr. Deon Yates. What up, though?
What's going on, my guy? Deon, my brother, thank you for being here. First of all, it's an honor for me to meet you, man. Like I said, I've listened to your I'm serious, man. I listened to your music, man, and you made me fall back in love with smooth jazz again. So let me say that. Right. Thank you, brother. So, before we get started, because you are our guest, we decided to go with the bourbon, a cigar of your choosing. So tell us what you chose for us today.
All right, bourbon, I see you already got it over there on the table. I bust out one of my favorites, that Woodford Double Oak. That's my favorite sipping, to just kick back and chill and smoke a stick with. For the stick, another one of my favorites, Drew Estates Liga number 9.
Right, okay.
That's a cold smoke right there.
Okay.
We're going to take that cold smoke with you because we got it.
Absolutely, no doubt, no doubt. Oh, you're right, this is smooth. Well, we lit up, so let's go ahead and pour a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And then we can get to conversating. What made this your cigar choice?
So I joined a cigar club here last year and was meeting some folks, and the cigar concierge at the spot, his name is Will Travis, he turned me on to it. This is one of the guys, anything you need to know about cigars, man, this cat knows it. And we became, real close friends. He's like a big brother now. And he was like, I got a smoke for you. It's not super expensive. It's at a good price point, and it's so smooth that he know that I drink the Woodford. He's like, this will pair perfect with your Double Oak. And so he wasn't kidding.
All right, well, for that, we're going to have to take a cheers and a toast to that, my good friend, for this cigar turn.
Yeah, and I see you got your glass.
See,
Thank
I got
you.
my smoking glass right here, y'all.
My man, appreciate you.
So the thing I noticed about the Double Oak here is like when you take off pop the cork, you smell the toasted oak from that first barrel, and then that second barrel, although you've still got the chocolatey from like the regular Woodford, but you get that dark cherry and even like a marzipan finish on the back, which I love. And it pairs like this cigar. Like, why didn't you ever tell me? I don't recall you ever telling me.
I don't think I knew about it when I was down there hanging out.
Gotcha.
So this is a recent addition.
Gotcha. And I like it. It's smoother than the last couple that we've had. So I've liked it.
Look here, Java's normally my choice, but you're going to make me go back to the cigar lounge and get another one of these.
Drew Estates, they got a lot of different things under their brand. Because, Drew Estate does the acid, they do the factory stuff, they do the fat bottom Betty's and all of that. But if you want like a mature, smooth smoke, the Liga Privada.
This is it. See, I didn't know they did that because when I first started smoking cigar, I started off with acids, acid blonde and things of that nature. But I didn't know they made these. That's interesting, man. Thank you for that fact.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, you know what? We got into the bourbon, we got into the cigars. Thank you. That circle around, I love it because this gave us a bolder, a richer choice than the original Woodford Reserve that we did. Still great, but this is even better. So now we're going to get to some questions. You want to head it off?
All right, sure. Thank you. Thank you for passing the buck. So since we're smoking and drinking, when you're performing or in your downtime, what's your routine, or I don't want to use the word ritual, but what do you normally do? Like when you are getting ready to do a studio session or a live show, do you have a cigar and bourbon, or do you do it, in between, or is this your thing afterwards?
It all depends on what mood I'm in. Because sometimes I do it before. I mean, if you say downtime, I don't even think I got downtime.
Right.
Downtime, maybe when I'm asleep, I might have some downtime. So just recently, I was in Louisville, Kentucky for the Louisville Jazz Festival. I was playing with keyboardist Brian Simpson. And so this was a long, tough traveling day because I had to fly out. My flight was supposed to leave at 4 o'clock Friday morning. And so I get to the airport, that flight was delayed till 8:30. Right. So I didn't get a chance to fly out till 8:30, got to Kentucky at 2 o'clock. The rehearsal and sound check was at 4, and then our show was at 7:30. So I didn't get a chance to do anything. I had to shower at the venue and change clothes. And so all of that day, like right after sound check, one of the guys that was working on production, I was like, bruh, is there a cigar shop around? They already had the bourbon backstage, but he ran and got me a cigar.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I got my bourbon, I got my cigar. So this particular occasion, after the show, after we talked to everybody, chat with the fans, taking pictures, went back to the hotel, went out on the patio, poured my bourbon, lit up a cigar. So that was my nightcap for that time.
Gotcha.
Other times, the night before, because I'm up. It's like a captain of a ship going into battle. I can't really sleep.
I got you.
The night before a show. Right. So my mind is racing, like all of what's going to happen, what I got to do, make sure I got the set list together. Is the band going to be good? And they got everything locked down. So then to calm that down the night before the show, I pour me a sip, pull out a stick, and just relax and just let my mind, get free. So this is my smoke before the storm right now.
Right, and you know what? And as busy as you sound, I'm so glad and so thankful that you took the time out to spend this time with us.
Yes, much appreciated. Yeah. Thank you.
So I heard you say that you're a part. I heard you say that you're a part of a cigar club. When did you gain your love for bourbon and cigars? Like when did that happen?
Oh, let's see. So mostly I've been mainly a cognac drinker. So I've been loving my cognac. My dad was a Scotch drinker. And so, nowadays that was child abuse, but I drank my first Scotch at 3 years old. When you're a kid,
right.
And you always want what the adults have.
Right.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Like, all right, you keep asking for it, I'm gonna give you some. So I was 3 years old, and he gave me some Scotch. He was drinking some Dewar's White Label.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At 3 years old, but I didn't really drink for a long time. When I got to college, that's when I started experimenting, drinking like wine coolers, bottles and James.
Oh yeah.
Boone's Farm.
Old bottles and James.
But just later in my adulthood, so just try to be grown, not hanging with the grown and sexy people. I started picking up cigars. My granddad and his first cousin, they smoked cigars and they smoked pipes. And so when they got older and they stopped smoking, they gave me like all of their pipes and tobacco and things. And so I thought I was cool, like Sherlock Holmes or somebody with my little pipe, everything. And then that kind of led to the cigars. Right. Hanging out with the bros, my frat brothers, I'm a Sigma, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, Incorporated.
All right.
Hanging out with my bros, they introduced me to the cigars. And then they was like, well, you drinking your cognac and stuff, but you should try some of these bourbons when you're smoking a cigar. So roughly, probably about 4 years ago, I started picking up the cigars and the bourbon. So now I'm like a cigar and bourbon head. You know, I try all different kind of bourbons. I go around doing tastings and stuff like that. And so I'm not a connoisseur yet. You know, I'm a junior connoisseur. So I'm right. Way up.
Well, go ahead and take it. You aficionado, you know. Look, you didn't introduce us to something we didn't know.
I mean, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right, well, let's get away a little bit for a second from the bourbon and the cigars, and let's get into how you got started. What was your muse to pick up the sax and to find out that it was more than a talent, it was a passion?
So how I got started, if you want to know specifically saxophone. So this story, I tell the story all the time, and sometimes I get emotional and it's a source of pride. But I was in the 3rd grade. I was 8 years old, and I was playing flute in the school band at elementary school. And I was feeling kind of bad about it because, you know, I was getting teased a lot because flute wasn't the most manly instrument in the world. At least people consider that like a girly instrument, right? So I felt bad about it, but I stuck with it. And then the junior high school band came over to the elementary school and did a concert. And they brought the concert band and jazz band. And so I'm in the assembly, you know, in the auditorium, and I see this little boy playing the flute. And they playing jazz. And this dude was killing. I was like, oh my God, this dude is like killing this. And so from that point on, I wanted to know who that kid was. I wanted to play like him. And he made me feel okay to be a boy playing the flute. Because now I didn't know nothing about that, playing jazz on the flute. You know, you think about saxophones and trumpets and stuff like that. But seeing this little kid, he was only like 2 years older than I was. But he was just so great. And so I went to the same middle school he went to. His name is Cassius Richmond. Cassius Garnett Richmond. I'd say his old government name. He might be mad at me, but he was such a great musician. I mean, he was a musical genius. Like, when I say genius, I mean seriously musical genius. He was so gifted on the flute and saxophone. That's what made me want to go to sax, because he played flute and sax. And he was one of those kids that at an early age, so we're talking about what, he was in the 8th grade when I was in the 6th grade, so we're talking about what, 13 years old?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So we were asking Cassius, like, man, how do you know how to play so good, man? We want to be able to play just like you. You know, he told us, and I'm gonna show you how genius this kid was at 13. He said, if you want to be able to play good like me, he took me behind my house in the alley and went and dug up a root out the field. He cleaned it off. He said, look, this is a gobble root. I can remember like it was yesterday. This is the gobble root. He said, if you practice 8 hours a day and chew on this root, you'll be able to play like me. So we like, oh man, every time we find this root, we dig this root up, we chew it. Now in his genius, what we didn't think about what he got us to do. He got us to practice. So we're thinking that, okay, yeah, we're gonna practice 8 hours a day, but we're gonna chew on this root. It was actually the practice of 8 hours a day that got us good. But he got us thinking it's mystical because of this root. We in school, the teacher's like, what y'all chewing on? Get that some garbage out of here. We chewing on this root because we want to play like Cassius. Wow. But that's how genius this kid was. At 13, he got us to practice.
So I did hear that story because I saw another interview that you did, and if I remember correctly, you said it takes more wind and energy to play the flute versus the sax?
Yes.
Am I quoting you correctly?
Yes.
Yes.
Because you got to think, it's just like blowing a pop bottle. Right. The majority of your wind is going not into the instrument, it's going over the hole, so it's not going in.
Right.
So you expend more wind energy playing the flute.
Right.
So that's a tough instrument. So those that's out there that's mastered it, you know, that's got that standard. I pick my flute up every once in a while. At this point, you might get 2 or 3 songs out of me.
Right.
I don't play it every day, so
right.
I don't have that set. People say, well, you play saxophone. I was like, well, the saxophone is easy because I got pressure coming back at me. You see what I'm saying? So flute, there's no back pressure or anything. You just getting rid of air.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
So I can't do this too much playing that flute.
Right.
Okay.
Gotta put it down.
It don't bother me so much.
Well, you got a reputation not just for your sound, but for your circular breathing. So let's break that down. What does that take mentally and physically to do that?
So circular breathing. Well, I always tell people when they ask me that after shows, like, if I tell you, I have to kill you. That's where the double dot 7 secrets right there.
Gotcha.
So I've actually been doing it pretty much since junior high school. So I learned how to do it then. It takes practice, but it's not a difficult thing to do once you go through the steps and learn how to do it. Basically, you're expelling air while you're inhaling at the same time. So a lot of times, the trick is to try to keep people from seeing you breathing. So, you might see a lot of people, jaws that get big, or sometimes I can do it without, expanding my cheeks, because what you're doing is you're holding air in your throat, in your mouth, because you got that pressure coming back from the sax. You have a certain amount of time that you can still continue to push air, just using your jaw muscles in your throat and everything while you're inhaling through your nose.
Okay.
So you're blowing out, and then for a few seconds, you inhale while you're still forcing air out your mouth.
Gotcha. It sounds hard.
So that's a secret. Don't tell nobody.
Well, listen.
I don't want to die. You good with me?
I'm not gonna try it because I can't. But no, I appreciate it.
Right. Okay. So growing up in Detroit, right? You just told us a story about the young man who got you into playing instruments. What other inspirations or people that were around you helped inspire you just to continue and to keep going? Or was this just all you?
Well, no, it wasn't all me by any stretch of the matter. When I was a kid, I just knew I was going to be a professional baseball player. That was my thing. I played Little League, on the teams, and did the tournaments and all of that, and I just knew that it was going to be baseball. But throughout middle school, junior high, my teachers. So the first teacher I had in junior high was the one that brought the band over to the elementary school. His name is Donald Washington. And he was more of a family member because, back then, schools were more of a community institution. We didn't just go to other schools outside of your district. You went to schools in the neighborhood. The teachers lived in the neighborhood, So my particular school, Remus Robinson Middle School, my sister, I have an older sister that's 14 years older than I am. So when I was in junior high school, she actually worked at the school as a secretary. So I had my sister was a secretary at the school. I had a cousin that was the home economics teacher at my middle school. So it was like a big family. And I used to come over once I met Cassius and found out about this band program. So in the 4th grade, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I was already hanging out in the band room with Mr. Washington because he would let me come over there and hang out with the kids and play in the band. So I already became a member of his band. And Mr. Washington started a group outside of school called Bird Train Scodown. Bird Train Scodown was an avant-garde, like highly improvisational group that consisted of members anywhere from 6 years old on up to 18. So his own children were very young at that time, and they performed in the group on up to high school age students. And so he kept us, so all the bebop, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, that stuff, that's what he did. And even when he left the school, he kept the group Bird Train Scodown together. And so as we got older, the older kids, if we could just make it to his house, he had rehearsal every Friday at his house. He wasn't paid to do this. This is just him keeping us doing the music, and how he would say he was keeping the music strong. So we would catch the bus to his house, and he would drop each one of us off at home at the end of the night. And so he lived way across town. So he would have some nights 4 or 5 kids, some nights 20 kids. He had a big old van that he would load all the kids up in the van and literally drive everybody home all over the city of Detroit after each rehearsal. So it was mentors like that that kept us strong with the music, kept the music in us. He took us on trips. We traveled to Chicago, playing the festivals there with this group, traveled to Mobile, Alabama, playing the festivals down there, all with this group, like I said, with kids ranging from 6 to 18 years old. As a matter of fact, his son, Kevin Washington, I was in high school, and one of my best friends, who was also in Bird Train School now, his name is Rodney Whitaker. Rodney Whitaker is a renowned bassist, playing with Roy Hargrove, Benny Carter, Wynton Marcellus. He's the director of jazz studies at Michigan State now, been there for almost 30 years. But we used to catch the bus over to Mr. Washington's house. But we entered a competition when we were 17 at Eastern Michigan University. So 3 17-year-olds, and our drummer was 10 years old. And we won first prize in that competition.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
we was doing it back then.
And you're kind of keeping that going. You teach students, correct?
Well, not music.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that I teach music. So I went another route. So in undergrad, I studied music, right? But all of my degrees are in communications. So my parents, it was like, hey, we know you love music and we support everything you do, but we'll support you doing music as long as you do this too.
Okay.
So my first flute, my dad bought me. He was like, we'll do this, but you gotta get your education and have something else to fall back on, have another career.
Got it.
You know, and personally, I was blessed because when the pandemic hit, you know, a lot of my peers, and they were devastated. And I was hit because I had like a 20-city tour booked, and all of that was canceled. But because of my other skill set and my occupation, I was able to, you know, navigate through, because unfortunately, a lot of stuff moved to being online because you couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
So the funeral industry became a saving grace for me. It's unfortunate that so many people passed away, but you couldn't go to a funeral. So guess what? People had to stream funerals. You couldn't go in the funeral home. So that made my business elevate because I could come over and stream and do different things like that. So I was able to still work, you know, while a lot of my peers were down.
Gotcha.
So it's a bittersweet kind of thing, because I went to more funerals than I would care to go to ever.
Right.
Yeah, but it was a saving grace for me. So.
Right. Well, I know you mentioned that your tour was canceled, but I know you're back on tour, and I know you've done a lot of festivals, and you've headlined a lot, and you've also played with a lot of people. What is your best stage memory?
Every time I hit the stage, I don't think I got a best one, but I've played with some great people. Like I just told you, I just did this past weekend with Brian Simpson. One of my most fondest ones is the first time I played with Rick Braun. So I've sat in on shows and like jam sessions with Rick, but I got the call last year to actually be his sideman to do a full show as Rick Braun's sax player. And so since then, I've done at least about 3 shows with Rick. So that is like the most amazing thing, is to be able to go, and this is somebody that's a smooth jazz icon. It's like one of my trumpet idols, along with my sax mentor, Richard Elliott. But to actually be on the gig with Rick Braun is one of the greatest things. Another great moment has nothing to do with performance as far as directly. I was on the Capital Jazz Super Cruise that sells, well, the Capital Jazz organization is in Maryland, but they sell out of Florida. I was on the Capital Jazz Super Cruise, and I got on the bus to take us to the cruise ship to disembark, and Kirk Whalum was sitting in front of me on the bus, and Kirk Whalum knew who I was. So that was it right there. I was like, that I must be almost somebody now.
Moving on up.
So that was probably the biggest thing. I mean, I have others. I mean, the day that I got Mesa to perform on my album, you know, that was another one. And I tell people, and they think I'm crazy. No, I stalked Mesa for 3 years. When I say I stalked, I tried to be everywhere she was at. You know, and when she first met me, I was just some guy, right? And so I wrote a song specifically for her to sing. And so I had a plan. I was like, as my star started to rise, as I started to show up in more spaces, where she was at, and she started to recognize me more and more, then it got to be a little bit more conversation. So I would see her here, I would see her at a festival, I would see her on a cruise, and we'd have a brief little conversation, but she never gave me the digits or anything like that. She was just being polite most of the time, right? And so finally, I made it to a point, I want to say it was it was before I signed to Woodford Double Oak Records, but after my first major release, I had Nick Coleon playing on my record. And so after I got to that level, then she was like, okay, well, maybe this guy ain't just some random Joe Blow off the street. So I remember we were backstage at a show, and I was like, Mason, hey, how you doing? He's like, hey, what's happening? I was like, remember I told you I got a song that I wrote for you that would be perfect. I wrote it just for you to sing. And by this time, after me being on her tail for 3 years, she was like, well, here, let me give you my manager's number and call him and let's work it out and see what we can do. So that was part one. And then the second time I saw her, we were in Maryland again, backstage, and I knew she was coming to Detroit to do a show with Incognito. And so I say, hey, Mesa, I know you're coming to Detroit. You remember I sent you the song that I want you to do? Yep. I was like, how about you fly into Detroit a day early and do the session with me? I'll put you up in the hotel and then you can do the session. And since you're already coming to Detroit, right? And she was like, okay, let's do it. And so there we go. She flew in a day early. We went to the studio, and then look how far we've come. And that was it right there. I got Mesa the voice.
Yes.
Yes. Nice. All right. Well, with that being said, tell us a little bit about the grind that comes with, you being in the industry, some of the, and if you care to talk about it, some of the ups and the downs, or maybe some of the sacrifices, or just what it's like for you just to keep going day by day to continue on with your artistry.
It's a daily grind. I mean, dare I say, a minute by minute grind. You're fighting and clawing all the time. The genre that I picked to play in is a small genre. Smooth jazz didn't always exist as a genre. So when we look at the icons, the legends that people know, when we talk about like the George Bensons, right, Grover Washington Jr., Najee, Kenny G, smooth jazz didn't exist when they became popular, became stars, because they were being played on the pop, rock, and R&B stations.
True.
So there was no such thing as smooth jazz radio.
Mm-hmm.
So they had thousands of radio stations across the country playing their music. So that's how they became immensely popular. Boney James, all those guys, right?
Right.
So by the time I came along and went solo, there's this genre called smooth jazz. So when I started in smooth jazz, there were probably 110 terrestrial radio stations playing smooth jazz format. Out of all the stations in the country, there was only 110, and out of that, maybe 25 or 30 of those reported to the Billboard chart. So you have all of these artists vying for a position to get on the air out of these small, finite number of stations. So it's very difficult to get heard through all the talent that's out there. So when people, some people might be upset, oh, I didn't make top 10, I didn't make number 1. But if you made it on the Billboard chart, thousands of people didn't even make it there. If you made it into the top 40 or 50, there's thousands of people that didn't make it there. So that's a great accomplishment. So today, there's even less radio stations that play smooth jazz as a format. They're under 100 now. And so, I mean, there's internet radio, of course, but most internet radio, a lot of them don't pay royalties. A lot of them don't report to the charts. Now there's only about 20 stations that report to Billboard. And the reason why Billboard is so important is that most of the talent buyers subscribe to Billboard.
Right.
So if you want to book a gig, this is our bread and butter. We don't really make that much money on record sales. We make money off the shows just like any other genre of music. You know, the concert tours is what really pays the artist. So again, if you're not putting up numbers on those charts, then the talent buyers is like, well, how many seats can you fill? Who knows your music? Why should we book you here? But if you have a number one on Billboard, the chances of you getting booked at this club, even though you've never played there before, is greater because the talent buyers look at the chart like, oh, well, he must be doing something. He's number one on Billboard. So that means somebody's listening to his music,
right.
or her music. But it's a grind. It's a grind all the time. And there's a plus with social media that you can actually get your music out there. You know, the internet has created a new space. Before you needed a record label to produce and put music out to publish music. But Prince really showed us the way on that one, is that when he decided to lead a record label and publish his own stuff, he had platinum hits with no record label support whatsoever. He was doing pop-up concerts and he was selling on the internet. And if you look at a lot of the major artists now, even like the Gerald Albrights and even Kim, big news, he left Motown Records and restarted his own label. Gerald Albright, when his contract was up with his record label, he started his own label. So people are taking more control of their music and keeping the money in their own pocket. Right. Because that's another downside as an artist, you know, being signed to a record label. Y'all saw those movies about the Temptations and TLC and all of that. You know, those things are on a bigger scale, but it's the same thing for us in smooth jazz. It's like I have to buy my records from the record label to sell them at a show.
30 days.
I record it, but I still have to pay the record label. If I want to sell CDs, I have to get them from the record label. That's every artist.
Yes.
They have to do this. So that's why if you go to a festival and you wonder why a CD is $20, $25,
right.
Well, we got to pay
why.
the record label for the CD. The festival got to get their cut. We make a dime on it.
Right.
Oh, that's
so
some
for us
good
to make
advice.
$5 or $10, we have to add that price up there. So that's unfortunate. But like I say, more musicians are now publishing their own music and putting it in their own hands.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, but with you being the publisher, producer, and marketing team yourself, then that's more of a grind that you got to do every single day.
Right.
And I'm glad you said that.
Out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because you're more than just a player. So what does the future hold for you? Like, what's next? What can we expect from Deon Yates?
Well, Deon Yates is working on his sixth solo album, and it's been slow and steady, but it's my procrastination probably mostly, and I would say really procrastination. It's just that I do so much other junk, just so much other stuff that everybody's stuff gets put in the head of the queue before mine. So my clients, people that I do work for, produce stuff for, that always gets done first, and then I come to my stuff. So I actually have most of the music for my project done. As far as the original, I don't have it mixed and finalized yet, but most of the songs are written, and most of the arrangements are done. I just have to record my parts. And so I need to take a sabbatical just to take like a month and not do anybody else's stuff, which is almost impossible, just to record mine. So, and then by me being my own worst critic, when I started the project, there's some songs that I don't like anymore on there, and I want some new songs. And I met some new producers and some people that I want to do some collaboration with that I finally got a hold of. Because again, this business also is out of sight, out of mind. So when you call and people say, hey, you got a track, can I work with you? Can you do this? But you have to be out in those spaces where they see you before they remember, oh yeah, I did. So, you know, we can get together. So I got about 3 producers that I'm looking for that I've actually recently reconnected with, that we're going to be working on some more music for the new project. So I was hoping to put it out this year, but I'm not going to rush it because I want to make sure it's right. So beginning of next year, so in the spring, I will say this on record, so y'all can hold me to it.
You heard it here.
Deon Yates album in the spring of 26. So
okay.
I said it, so I got to do it.
Yeah, because I need you to get more of your stuff out. Like, I need you to put other things on the back burner so you can put yourself first, because we're looking for that next Deon Yates CD. I need it.
And I'm working, I want to do a brass and sax album. So me and Rob, we've been playing together for some time now. And so I think it's time for us to do a brass and sax album. So the idea is for him to do a new record, me to do a new record, and for us to do a brass and sax record in this second time.
Okay.
Awesome. So this is a two-part question I have for you. The first question is, when you do a CD and you're in the studio and you're making music, where do you draw inspiration from, and how long does that generally, take? But the second one is when you're on stage and you're live, man, that energy that you feel, can you describe that, what it's like when you're performing live, man?
So I'll take the stage part first. So that is my most favorite part of the job, is performing. It recharges me, it inspires me, it fills me up. I mean, that is the greatest feeling on the planet. It's better than any drug, any high that you could ever achieve, is once you hit that stage. And just, I don't care if it's 2 people or 2,000 people, I give the same show, the same energy, because you never know who you might touch, who your music is touching. It means so much to so many different people that you don't even know. When people come up to me after the show and just tell me, how my music influenced them, so that is the greatest thing. I don't know, I'm not a drug addict, never been one, thank God, but if I could say, if I'm addicted to anything, getting high is that high you get when you do that performance. Especially when everything is clicking, when the band is rocking, everything is coming out right, you ain't playing no bad notes, you hitting all your parts.
Right.
And that is the best time. So that is it for me right there. As far as recording projects, I take inspiration from life, just everything. Sometimes I'll sit down with a purpose, like for the song that I wrote for Mesa, I sat down specifically to write something for her to sing. So I had her voice in mind, her personality, I had all of that. And then the song I wrote for her was actually about, me and my wife early on in our life together, the things that we went through. That's why it's called Look How Far We've Made It. So that was part of that inspiration as well. And so I put that in. Other times, it's just, I might be driving down the street and see a cloud shaped a certain way.
Right.
And a tune, a melody might come to my head, and it's a wide, eclectic pool that I pull from when I write music. So it's a lot. And then just collaborating with different people. Just a vibe that you get with somebody. We were doing a gig down in Monroe, Michigan, and we was just messing around playing. My keyboard player started hitting some chords. And then I was like, man, you got something to record this? Because this is dope. We need to do it. And so it can come about like that, just spontaneous combustion.
Right.
So there's a lot of ways.
Good jam sessions.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? My brother, you are so down to earth. You are so approachable. And in a world full of flash and filters, how do you stay rooted? Like you've stated that all the people that you've been around, all the people that you've done work with, all the people that you've had the opportunity to meet, how do you stay so rooted in this game?
I had a conversation with Rob. Matter of fact, Rob's in the trumpet player. We were somewhere at a show, and I was telling him, because me and him, we talk, we like brothers, and we talk about, man, they calling this club, they calling this promoter, and he done blowing me off. He ain't getting back to me, man. It's just rough trying to get here, and we should be further along in our career than where we are, because things is not fair. I was like, well, you know what? Just like we looking at, Rick Braun and Richard Elliott and Boney James and Brian Cox and all those guys, I told him, like, believe it or not, there's people on the other side of us looking at us like, man, these guys are doing it, man. How can we be like them? So there's always room for growth. There's always room, and I'm just a person. And what I like about smooth jazz, at least a lot of the guys that I've met in smooth jazz, those names I named, they're regular people. They're not the prima donnas. You know, I like people that are genuine people, you know, and so I try to be that way. I don't want it to be where you can't approach me. I don't want to ever be that rich and famous that I can't walk down the streets, that I can't just say hi to somebody, that I can't socialize. You know, I never wanted to be that way. A lot of the times, you know, I mean, I'm not rich, I'm not wealthy, I'm not a superstar. I have humble beginnings. My dad only went to the 8th grade, you know, and so that always kept me grounded, but he was a worker. My father, I didn't really get to know my father until I was probably like 12, 13 years old, because he worked full-time at Chrysler on the day shift. When he got off work at Chrysler, he worked part-time for Sears. So before he was gone before I woke up in the morning. He was going to work, and he didn't get home after my bedtime at night. And so I got that humility and work ethic from him. So I always want to try to keep that. You know, it doesn't cost anything to be nice to people. It doesn't cost anything to share information. You know, a lot of people in this business, they like to hoard information. So if I go to the show and see a sax player, hey man, I like the way you sound good. And man, who did you talk to book this gig? Oh man, you have to check with my agents. They don't want to share that information. They act like by them giving you that information, that's somehow taken away from them. You know, maybe that's the reason why I'm not super mega star. I don't know, but I figured, hey, you ask me who to contact at the club, I'm gonna give you the contact. You ask me who this musician is, I'm gonna tell you the information, because it doesn't harm me in any way to help you get where I've been. And so I think, you know, a lot of times we as people, we get upset because we expect people to be like we are, and when they don't act the way we act, so we get our feelings hurt. Right. So I've just learned to accept people for who they are. And the biggest thing is try not to let how people treat you change who you are. Because a lot of times we're like, well, they acting like that to me, I'm gonna just start acting like that to them. No. Let them do them, and you do you always. So don't let them change who you are, because you're gonna get your blessings, you're gonna get your come up by just being the genuine, true person that you are. Your reputation will precede you. So that's my philosophy. So I don't know if it's worth anything. But.
No, it's worth a lot. I love that, because you don't know how many people that I knew before they got a little big, and now if I try and talk to them, I gotta, like you said, talk to their manager. So I get it, and I love that about you. I love your approachability. I do.
Look, I got a story. I'm not gonna name no names because they might see this.
Right.
Because I don't want to shame nobody. But there's a artist. I'm not gonna tell you whether it's a male or female, but there was an artist that I put them on one of their first times being on a big stage. I did a show at the Masonic Temple here in Detroit that I brought Rick Vaughn and Richard Elliott, and we opened the show. And so this person went on. Now, I've had this person on festivals, performing with my group, had them all over the place, you know, on major shows and major stages, and it was never been a problem. When I called them, they were like, I got you. Don't worry about how much it is. You know, you always take care of it. And so they went on one of the big TV shows and did well. And then next thing you know, I contacted them to do a show, and it was like, oh, you have to talk to my agent. So I was like, okay.
Yep, that part.
And I'm like, okay, I respected it. So when I talked to the agent, they quoted me some ridiculous price, and I was like, well, our budget, we can't afford that. You know, I appreciate you getting back to me, but you know, we can't do it at this point. Yeah. And that's all. I didn't go back to her and cuss her out. I was like, okay, I just can't work with you right now because I can't afford you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
I get it.
All right. So for any up and coming or anybody aspiring to be in smooth jazz, what advice would you give them? Because I heard you give some good nuggets earlier, especially about, you know, how you guys have to buy the CDs from the record company and then sell them at the shows. What other advice would you give up and coming artists?
So learn the business of music. Not even just the business of music, learn business.
Right.
So you can take some classes, they got free courses, just do something, learn business. So you have to be in control of your finance, in control of your money, in control of your art, your intellectual properties. Learn that. That way you are the best spokesperson and mouthpiece for your art. So nobody can pull the rules. You know what your worth is. Now don't be too exorbitant, but still know what you're worth. Look around the industry and see what other people are doing. You'll find somebody that will talk to you. Hit me up on social media. If you have some questions, ask me, and I'll let you know how much stuff, the average price of things are, producers, promoters, and things of that nature. But learn the business of music. If you want to do it, playing is almost secondary. So if you're going to record, you should know your instrument. You should play at a certain level, okay? But today's industry is more about the brand than it is the music. There's some people out there that's selling millions of records. They can't really sing that well. So
yeah.
It's not even possible. But some of us get caught up, especially jazz cats. So I know a lot of jazz cats that we can be a little arrogant because we play real music, but to the average consumer, that doesn't matter. They don't care. One thing, I think Walter Beasley said this, stop trying to perform for other musicians. See, other musicians will critique you because, I see cats all the time. Oh man, he's supposed to hit his a C-7 right there, and he didn't go. See, because they trying to get accolades from their peers.
Right.
But their peers ain't buying their records. So I don't try to impress my peers. I'm not the most technical, greatest player in the planet, but I'm like an old DJ. I can read the crowd, and I play what moves the crowd. So the crowd don't care if you played 132nd notes. You don't play all the notes on the scale, real fast and hit all the super high notes. The crowd just reacts to what moves them. Right. And other musicians is like, I could sit there and listen to somebody and tell you what scales he played. That's just for the other musicians. But like I said, other musicians don't buy your records. And I'll say most other musicians because, again, I'm a little bit different because I'll buy people's records. I buy CDs. I go to people's shows. My wife and I, she noticed, she's like, we one of the only few people that actually pay to go see other musicians perform. Because if you go to a show, like, they're our friends. They're our friends. These are people we like. So I'll pay and buy a ticket. I won't be trying to get in free, trying to get backstage. I will buy a ticket to go see a show. James Lloyd from Pieces of the Dream, that's another big brother of mine. He is a great, phenomenal keyboardist. And whenever he comes to town, and if I have to pay for a ticket, I will pay to go see James. On the same note, James will call me and invite me to come spend the weekend at his house to watch a Super Bowl game. You know what I'm saying? But I will pay. I will use my relationship with you to get a free ticket because I'm supporting the artist.
That's right. Even all about support.
Local artists, at the club. You got people that are famous in their cities. They want to be recognized everywhere they go. They want to get into the clubs free just because who they are in that city. I'll pay the couple charges because that's how they pay the band.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't want, I don't want to not help because then if you can't afford to pay the band, then the band can't be there no more.
Right.
So I'm gonna pay my fair share.
Yeah.
So that's just me.
But that's what makes you phenomenal, and that's why I love you so much, my brother. And thank you so much for being with us today. And this is why we do Smoking Ice, because it's music, culture, flavor, legacy. It's everything, and it's sharing truth. Baby. Yes. Thank you so much.
No. But I talked to you about this early, so I got to ask. I got to ask the inspiration behind Song for Sophie. I love that song. That song, I was cleaning up and I heard it and I had to put it on repeat at least about 3 or 4 times.
And see, you know what? That's why it's easy to tell you the inspiration. That song, that was a last ditch song that I just put together just to round out the album. Mm-hmm. So it was never released to radio. It doesn't have any marketing behind it or anything like that. But Sophie is Sophia Taylor, which is one of my granddaughters.
Okay.
So she was like the flower girl when I got married. So, and the song was about her because I wanted to make something so she can remember Peepaw. So long after I'm gone, she knows that Peepaw made a song for her.
Right.
She's the baby. That's the easy part right there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, my brother. It was a pleasure talking to you today. You coming to town? What you got going on, brother? Before you get out of here, let's make sure you're straight.
He put me on my P's and Q's, and I'm appreciating this because I'm forgetting stuff.
Hey, listen, what you got going on, brother? Let's hear it.
So, I'm not coming to town, so I was supposed to come, and things got changed around. So we're still working on getting back to the Carolinas, but immediately we're doing the brass and sax experience. So that's something that I really want to push because the brass and sax experience it's original music by me and trumpeter Rob Zinn, and we also do a tribute to Rick Braun and Richard Elliott and like Rick and Bone and some of the things that they do. So we actually created this brand, the Brass and Sax Experience. So we're headlining the Ribs and R&B Music Festival in Detroit this weekend, and we're actually doing Pensacola, Florida. We're doing a festival in September. I can't remember. I think it's the Gulf Coast something festival, something in Pensacola. You have to look at my website, but the website is DeonYates.com. You can check me out on all my socials at the official Deon Yates, and you can check out the Brass and Sax Experience on Facebook. And the website is coming for that soon. So you'll see all the news, all the dates that's coming up. You know, drop me a line, say, hey, what's up? Or say, what up, dope, for my Detroit peeps. And
for sure.
There.
All right.
26, expect new music, a whole new tour, and a lot more music coming at you.
I can't wait. I really can't wait. And I want everyone who is watching to make sure that you check out his music anywhere that he's at. If you are there, you need to be there and just support real artistry, because right here is a real artist, a true artist, and a dear friend of mine. I love you so much. So much. And thank you.
All right, my brother. Thank you.
Smoking ice.
You too.
Take care. Have a good one. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. But this is Smoking Ice. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Wayne. And please like and subscribe, even if you don't like us or do like us or whatever it is. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate that.
You're going to like us. Well, you know what, guys? As always, let's spark something real.
You know it.
We hope you've enjoyed Smoke and Ice with Kelly and Wayne. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend so they too can be informed and entertained. For more information about the show, go to smokeandice.net.